on YouTube. Going live on Twitch. Let's go to live info. Let's reload Facebook so we can get that live video. Hey. What's going on, brother? Nice to see you. Gonna mute some of these though, because they're gonna be making noise.
Are we live already? I'm still staying mine up.
We are. I am now officially.
Live.
I'm live on everywhere.
Live.
Rob,
Okay.
Les, what's going on, guys? We're just actually about to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about. You were first here, Les. That's true. We're live on YouTube, Twitch, Pocket Live, Facebook, and a few other platforms. Just to put it out there. Rob's someone we should get on channel sometime to talk about some of the cryptocurrencies. Rob worked security for a long time for BlackBerry. He went through the Cisco program with me. He was much more adept at those types of things. So yeah, it's nice to see. But today we are not going to start with crypto coins. We're going to start with, I guess, Jeff's going to do an interview with our experiences at my experiences at the white nationalist anti-protest, and why that's probably one of the scariest moments I've ever had in my life, legitimately. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Folks, I'm still setting up screen share right now.
You do whatever you need in the meantime. Yeah, so basically I'll give everyone a little background what happened. The white nationalists were forming an assembly here in Vancouver. They applied for a permit. They were given permit, I think due to like free speech laws and things of that nature. The city mayor said they couldn't bar them from having their protest, or their meeting, their rally. So he suggested people come out and protest their protest. And the rest is, as you can see on my live stream on YouTube, 7 hours of mental illness and madness across all of Vancouver City Hall. It was a pretty scary thing. So that's, I think, what we're going to focus on today. Just so you guys do know, I am not a white nationalist. I'm not a Nazi. I don't really identify with left or right wing ideology in particular. I have a lot of different viewpoints on different issues. And so if you're okay hearing about different issues,
Can I just jump in?
please.
I'm airing live now on my channel.
Okay.
Bear with me, people. Okay, so I am here with my motorcycle event, the good guy biker from Motorcycles Vancouver. And a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of people outside of Vancouver don't know this, but / counter protest in Vancouver over the weekend, same day as the one in Boston.
That's right.
So Alex was at protest, and was kind of not what he expected. Right? Is that correct?
I certainly didn't go without a little bit of mischievous intent, but I was floored.
Kind of went for the keg.
I went for the CAC. I stayed for the mental illness.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. I went for the CAC.
Okay.
I stayed for the mental illness. And I also left for safety. Like, literally.
You were there for 9 hours.
Yeah, it was a 9-hour stream. I showed up quite early. I showed up at 11. And the majority of my stream, 6-7 hours, is me walking up to people with signs, asking them what their sign's about, having really positive messages, talking to people about what they stand for. Every once in a while, I'd ask a question like, so if they start trying to block people out of the event, would you people participate in the human blockade? Maybe one little controversial question here or there like that. It wasn't until I met some real characters.
Like, what was the protest actually about?
Well, okay. Well, the very first speaker that went up was a native a First Nations individual, and the message she was there to spread was.
He was part of the counter protest.
She was part of the counter protest. So first off, the event was organized by the white nationalist group in Vancouver, and they were given legal. Sorry? I think it was white nationalists, correct?
I'm not really sure.
Right. Certainly not Nazis. Nazis don't really exist.
I think was the main issue, right?
Yeah, your audio was cutting out there. I couldn't hear you for a second. What was that?
Was to protest immigration policy.
Right.
Did I cut it out?
Yeah, you're still cutting out, but yeah, I think the main intent was the group that was organizing the protest was a white nationalistic group trying to talk about immigration issues, which is certainly something that always should be talked about. Nothing wrong with talking about issues. Then there was an organized group which counter-protested the protest. Now, by law in Vancouver states, with an organized event, you actually have to have medics on site, and because the amount of people expected, they actually had to pay for some police presence as well. That was all paid for and hired by the white nationalists, or the immigration protest group.
Mm-hmm.
A second security force showed up, claiming an unhired, unpaid security force, claiming security over the area internally. The police were remaining external, but there were some security people who identified themselves with these rainbow ribbons, and they were trying to tell people where they could and couldn't be. They were pushing people out of the area. I don't know.
They were a private security?
No, they weren't. These people were not certified. These people were. They just decided that they were security. They were people who were organizing the anti-protest protest. So they were like, they were, I guess, they had deputies they had decided for the day. Unlicensed deputies for the day. Yeah, not quite. They weren't, there was one or two individuals there. You know, the majority of the people I interacted with, 99% of the people I interacted with that day were amazing. Incredible. The guy with the camera here on the left, the crazy guy with...
Yeah.
This guy gets in my face later. I have to tell him to stop talking to me at one point because he was getting. Oh, he was so crazy. I treat him like a normal human being until I realized how crazy he was. He called these questions inflammatory and provocative. I said provocative, sure, but they're certainly not inflammatory. I'm just trying to have a discussion about trending topics. Right. He tells me I didn't listen, I didn't hear people out. Did it just sound to you like I heard her entire conversation out? She literally she literally spoke without ending. She spoke in one long sentence until she said, "That's my view, thank you very much." It's literally how she closed her. She said anything she had to say. I let her say everything. Then I started with questions. This guy is an asshole for suggesting otherwise, which you'll see if you guys go to the full live stream on my channel. Motorcycles Vancouver is the channel.
What's the perspective there?
So I just asked her about the blockade. We haven't blocked off anybody, right? That was her answer. Now I call her on it because I've got video. Just moments before, I followed her around for a minute just because she was being crazy.
You requesting some. I thought negative thing. Yes, I heard. And
So I heard you requesting some people. Oh yeah.
We're gonna try and block them and create a human wall.
2 reasons that we're doing the thing I just said we weren't doing.
The list goes on. We feel that right now the traffic going through is a danger, right? We don't know who else might be coming. So that's number one.
She feels, because she's definitely the VPD.
We have possibly thousands coming, and we want everybody to be centralized. And lastly, when someone's street...
You have to understand, it's empty still, right? This is like an hour and a half before the event. This is like an hour and a half before the event kicks off, right? I was here early. So this crazy, she was crazy before anybody was crazy. That's what you gotta understand.
Things like, send immigrants back, no refugees, language like that. So forget Nazism, forget the extreme of it. The messages that are being spread of Islamophobia at the very basic level, that is a danger. We have people not coming today because they fear for their lives. So,
Like
being
myself?
together, we're trying to make sure.
No, that's not necessarily. That's
One
not
reason
necessarily.
why I didn't show up too.
Right.
Just as,
No,
as
no.
there's
Oh, yeah,
more
you would have
and more-
You couldn't have listened to some of those people spout their shit. You would have had to say something.
Yeah.
Because you're an opinionated person, and you're also well informed and educated. So you'd have a hard time listening to a bunch of swill.
Would have pissed a lot of people off. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I didn't.
Recently, right?
And if you notice, really, there's open space, right?
Well, I think that's a really good opinion.
And that's what every time someone says something really stupid, I say I think that's a really good opinion. Like I say, everyone's allowed to have an opinion, right? So
Yeah.
she denied doing it, and then she gave me 2 reasons why she was doing it. So, classic.
Just as representing a marginalized group here today at the protest,
Yeah.
Because she's representing a marginalized group.
why do you think it's just to try to prevent another marginalized group from their protest, which has been organized and licensed? And it's not a negative term. It's just from one.
I want to really understand why she thinks that's
for them
fair.
to have set up the event and organized
Do
everything.
you think I should be allowed to come here today and scream, kill all the white people? Is it okay to say, kick, is it okay
Of course,
for...
well, that's a crime, right? There's law.
There's literally laws against that. If you say, I'm going to kill all the
Yeah.
white people or fuck brown people, you will go to jail for hate speech and uttering death threats. We don't need more laws about speech. We have laws about speech. Don't we? Like if you're saying...
Yeah.
Right. If I say, I don't like your haircut, you fuckhead, that's not a crime. And if that becomes a crime, that's going to be a scary time. Sure, it makes you an asshole, and everyone around is going to think you're an asshole. So it does wonders for reducing your opportunities in life. but there's nothing illegal with it. But hate crimes and death threats are illegal, and both the things she just said were
I'm
exactly
pretty
that.
sure the nationalists weren't saying kill all the Muslims.
Nobody was saying that.
Immigration there.
Nobody said anything like that.
Yeah.
She's just having a narrative with herself. The fifth, look, I looked around. I didn't see any tanks. I didn't see any regalia. I didn't see anyone getting shot. No one set up any IEDs. There was no V2 fighters above head. No bombs were dropped. To be honest, I don't even think the Fifth Reich exists anymore. I really don't. Like, as hard as these people want to pretend, I really don't think the Fifth Reich exists anymore. Maybe that's an opinion. Looking for the pocket. Michael's looking for the pocket light. Did the pocket live stream go down? Oh no. Okay, so Jeff, I'm gonna continue this just to hear the last 2 questions I asked her, which I think you might. I want to hear your opinion about as well.
Against
So, to be fair, if
Right.
someone says, get rid of the immigrants, right?
That's not a crime. That's an opinion.
And again, I'm trying to use language that
That's an
is
opinion.
I disagree with that opinion. Very much. Very much.
Well, but again,
I got multiple cameras set up.
I know I'm not
I'll have to
quoting,
double check that in a
but I'm
second.
trying to use the words of the other side. So when they say things like we need to close our borders, when they say things like that, we can't isolate these things. It's not like it exists in a vacuum. Give me 1 second.
And this guy's on her side. This guy's on her side.
Yeah.
He tries to eat me, and you know what? She's not being crazy. I would not call her mentally ill. I would call her very misguided. I would say this woman is
You know
very...
what's really funny?
Yeah.
What's really funny is Canada has stricter immigration policies. My girlfriend's been going through the visa process, the
Oh, it's hell.
permanent residency.
The point system.
It's hell, yeah.
It's hell. But it's there for a
It's been
reason.
like this for the longest time, and only now do these people say, "Oh my God, it's the rise of the Nazis." That's why it's all this like immigration stuff and Islamophobia, etc., etc. Longest time.
Well, I get into some of those issues stemming into Canada in a second here, which I'd love to get your perspective on. The next 2 questions I ask her about the English-speaking man in Richmond at the condo board, and the young girl who was assaulted for not participating in prayer time in Surrey. She was hit by her classmates, and those are both completely.
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, those are both issues that are completely relevant to this conversation today. And I think if people are unwilling to even talk about the other side, then how can you ever correct the issue?
And I would say this, sorry, I'm an educator. Actually.
Yeah, my wife is a teacher as well, yeah.
The root of all of this is the same.
Yes.
Right? We have an economic system that puts everybody down, right? We have a system that keeps, we have a broken election system, a voting system that leaves people out. We have politicians that don't represent the people. And you know what the people are? Everybody. They're every skin color.
She keeps saying everybody.
One of the most tolerant societies on earth. So is it not a fragile ecosystem?
See, these people, they can't help themselves
I just
anymore.
on that question,
I was being nice, but these other like sensible, educated people around me can't handle themselves. She was not mentally ill. She was misguided, and in my opinion, she has some misguided views on a lot of political issues. She's very strong, opinionated about very hardline topics. These people who are about to speak to me were some of the most sensible people I spoke to all day. The guy with the camera who you keep seeing, who will come up to me and almost assault me later, I have to ask him 3 times not to touch me. He has mental illness.
how would you say the political system is unjust? Everyone is given equal representation in Canada after the age of being able to vote. No one is marginalized. We don't have ID laws like in certain states. There's very little gerrymandering to say.
I love that you just said that.
So
I can't speak to this because I'm not Indigenous.
I just want you all to hear that. Okay. So the second there was a difficult conversation, the second I asked her about, well, what do you mean marginalized? Everyone's given a single representative vote. Like, how is Canada marginalizing people? She literally goes, oh, I'm not Native. Like, that's an answer. And how many times did she spoke about the stolen land? And here on the Musqueam land and all the people she was representing?
I want you to go up there.
I wonder if she actually was even here with anyone. I think she might have just showed up with a sign and been like, I'm organizing. I couldn't find any websites or any events, or I couldn't find anything to do with this woman. Not a single thing.
People have to pull out their status card.
Right.
I want you to pull out the Indian Act. Why is it that we have the original peoples of our society that do have
Don't those actual
that literally
enforce
have to prove who they are?
their rights
I'm sorry, I
in
disagree with
society?
that,
Aren't
right?
all the
Perhaps
laws
trying to
towards
be extreme
Native
as it is in the
First
state,
Nations
but at
about
the same time, I have privilege.
basically
I have
defending their rights now?
in terms of phoning politicians
I don't think there's
in
any
the
laws
state,
against their
right?
rights. I don't think
But
there's
I
any
know
laws
for
that say
a
like a
fact
Native
there are
can't come into
multiple people
Vancouver and get a
in
job.
there, from people that are facing rent eviction in the West End, from people in the downtown East
That was
Side.
another big issue, the evictions. There was a lot of people there that were, a lot of the people who were very wired up were there about rent issues as well, and evictions. So that's,
Okay.
but that was the one other topic that there was a lot of, what I would say is mental illness in the advocates.
In Metrotown that cannot get a meeting with anybody, that are kicked out of their own meetings of places they live. So,
Right, so they're,
I'm sorry,
she's talking about getting people getting evicted and can't have meetings with the boards at the places they live. So I asked her about the Richmond one.
that live here
Right.
and realize that not everybody.
I agree, Octane. People do need to calm the fuck
And
down.
that includes, the other,
in Richmond, the boards, for example, having their meetings in Old Chinese, right? There's a lawsuit still going through the courts right now. It's gone to the Supreme Court here in BC regarding one English-speaking individual against the board's refusal to do any of the meetings in English.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Can everybody afford the court fees, the lawyers, the time to do that?
Right. It's
So
a
it
good
does
perspective.
give certain people the right to do. I'm not saying that, we all have certain privileges, right?
Oh, here she goes. Here's the privilege!
You identify privilege with the color of your skin and the gender identity, specifically?
Absolutely. I'm
Do you hear how I made her? So how do you specifically identify yourself? Is it gender and color? Is that it? Like I couldn't help myself, man. The keck in me was strong that
Privilege
day.
with the color of your skin and the gender identity, specifically?
Absolutely. I'm a cisgender female. I'm highly educated, just in terms of degrees. I'm not trying to, I'm doing my master's, right? But at the same time, the second I walk in a room and people hear maybe that I have a lilt of an accent, that I'm a Sephardic Jew, which is an Arabic Jew, that I say certain things.
I wouldn't have any idea.
I get that.
Most people wouldn't have any idea.
Sorry, I'm gonna call bullshit. That's the first time I called bullshit on anything she said. I was pleasant to her the entire time, and I said that's a very good opinion. But the second she said, I said, nah, I don't think anyone. Sephardic Jew? Is that what people give you when you walk in the room, lady? She really thinks that. She really thinks when she walks in a room, people are like, Sephardic Jew alert. I better treat her differently.
Yeah.
She's gonna steal all my money. Like, what? Right? But not mentally ill, just misinformed. Right? Like, maybe mentally ill. Well,
Individual faces discrimination from no matter where you are.
So you know what? That's why we're here today.
So let me ask you,
Everybody should
do
be
you
here.
believe that to have an
and this guy on the left, there was actually a guardian angel. See this guy on the left here? He's got the ribbon. Guy just behind this guy in yellow, he's got the ribbon on his shoulder. He was super cool the whole time. He was there as like a security guard. He didn't get in my face once. He didn't get in anyone else's face. He like would let people know he was there to help when they were like getting hostile with me. He was like, if you need anything, let me know to these people. But he didn't get... Most of the security were completely reasonable. There was 4 of them that were mentally ill. They were on power trips. Right? But most of them were completely normal.
How do we feel about immigration policy?
Well,
He just asked if having immigration laws is a good thing, or if that's oppressing by government. And so she thinks that we shouldn't have immigration laws.
Individuals that are pampering streets would get the immigrants out instead to pamphlet their political offices, to go have meetings with them, to go to the
So I have to ask her about that. I have to say, so what about the girl, the 8-year-old girl getting hit in the public school
No.
for not participating in prayer
Not have a
time?
policy, But also we don't
The fuck is that?
Right? We have right now
In prayer time, you know they gotta pray 5 times a day, Muslims?
The school mandates a prayer time.
No. The Muslim people in schools mandated prayer time. Yeah, there's something they fought for.
Was this girl a Muslim girl or was it a...
Yeah, so most of the Muslim people, there's like a prayer room in a lot of schools now and hospitals, and right, people can, and like they get up and leave class, and they can go pray for 15 minutes. But she wasn't participating, and she was hit for it. The boys hit her, and like that's the mentality we're trying to leave in some parts of the world. We don't want that.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't want to pray, they shouldn't be assaulted.
Yeah.
Right. That's a problem. But that goes like the Christian people that thought the son was possessed in London, Ontario, my hometown, and they tied the kid up in the basement and starved him to death. Right? Because they thought he had a demon. And it happens a lot of times in some of the extreme Muslim families as well, where they tie the kid up and starve them to death. Right? Because they're drinking and smoking and they won't stop. I zinged her a couple times. Here's the security person trying to get her to walk away, like she's like, lady, this isn't good for you. Leave.
Right now in the States, and I like
Right? This lady's just like, oh my god.
that are fearing for their lives. And I don't know about you, but when you see all these things happening around,
You see how good up she is, and this lady's like trying to bring her down,
we can stand together and defend them.
trying to give her something to do.
This happens, it's too easy.
Now let's just talk about your privilege for 1 second, okay? Yeah. Now her and I are both.
I knew she was gone, right? She's going, I'm sorry, I got so heated. She's saying sorry to the woman for getting, because these are the clips. There's at least 10 viral moments, and I'll cut that up into a viral moment.
And you're a tall individual. So does that give you privilege over us short individuals because of your stature, status? There's all sorts of statistics.
Almost everything.
Right? But that's so then should then as a person without privilege, in that case, should the government subsidize larger shoes, or perhaps a equalization of birth? My question is privilege. Where's your opinion about privilege begin and end?
And he says one really good thing
Very
here.
widespread.
His opinion was, taking away someone's privilege is a crime. Like, you can't take away things from people. So that was really interesting, and but that wasn't really popping off yet. It wasn't until the Antifa, the Bob the Silent Warrior. This one makes me look kind of like a dick, but these guys, okay. So that happened, right? And then some of the security were kind of getting in my face. I was doing a bunch of interviews with people, and then the Antifa guy, we saw that video of him standing right behind me, getting in my face, and I'm calling him out. I'm just like, oh, are you gonna do something stupid? Like, are you like? This guy's standing behind me. He's really the GoPro. He's basically standing on top of my shoes. The GoPro's really yeah, it's the wide angle. But this guy's basically, and I didn't know he was right behind me, but he's basically like touching my shoulder.
Sorry?
No.
And so so everyone's around me is like pointing at this guy, like I think this guy wants to say something, because he's like standing behind me, shaking his head, being disapproving.
If that's going to get you to do something stupid, absolutely.
That's what you're after.
Sure, if you're willing to do something stupid in a public place surrounded by police, that's what the selfie stick is for, man.
So I get the selfie stick out in front of his face.
Because
He's backing up into me,
so
right?
what's your opinion here? You're kind of getting mad at me behind me, and now you're telling me that you don't want to be on camera?
I'm not getting mad at you.
I hope not. It's just everyone's here to protest in public space. So now you're getting really close to me. Okay. Well, I don't know. My tone wasn't negative. Your tone was derogative.
Fucking with the antifas.
No, man. You got a hostility about you. Okay? So
And you have to understand, I got my selfie stick in this guy's face the whole time too, right?
This is why we come out to these events. Right? Some interesting stuff.
And then my next two conversations are great. I interview 3 people, and then I interview the band. Incredibly peaceful, great perspectives. This guy's an atheist Canada League, and he had some interesting views because he's married a Chinese woman, so he's got mixed race kids, right? But he was just like, "Oh, this shit is retarded." He thought this whole people here would be acting just as retarded as everybody else. Then I kind of was, at this point, 2 particular security guards kind of made me an issue. I was trying to walk from one side to the other, and this old lady grabbed me. And I was like, "Don't touch me." And I was like, "Don't fucking touch me, lady." And she was like, she got really in my face. And I was just like, fuck off. Like, I'm walking through this space. There's no problems here.
What was her store?
Well, she was one of the pretend security guards.
Okay.
And, this, I had this really awesome conversation with this guy. About
It's quite the move.
I had look. I had a conversation with the fucking police chief. He's telling me about this first Nazi rally and stuff, and I'm having conversations with the mayor and the head of the VPD. Like, everything's great, and then the security kind of gets in my face a little bit, and then a drunk guy gets in my face, and that, I guess I got identified as a negative. They started calling me a white nationalist. A few of them.
Right.
Right. So what happened is, I walked into the crowd. As the event started, maybe 5 minutes later, I'm standing still and filming. This old lady's trying to like not let me move around. And I'm like, "Lady, I'm just gonna walk up and stand beside all the other film crews filming." Right? And again, 2 of the people were really normal. She was being kind of crazy, but I just kind of laughed it off, like, okay, whatever. And then I stood there for the next 10 minutes while I was filming the mayor speak. The first speaker, by the way, was a First Nations woman who was basically saying that she was raped by police, and then they took her kids away because they raped her. And then, so her message was fuck the VPD and fuck the RCMP. And I like booed that. I was like, boo! You see all the Jeeps and cars and vans? All those guys standing there in the way of the van that's going to try to run into you? Yeah. Not fuck those guys. Fuck maybe certain people. Right? Fuck bad people who happen to be police. Or happen to be taxi drivers. Or happen to be care workers. Fuck bad people. And so that kicked off, and then this transgender person got in my face, and I basically just was like, I don't want to have anything to do with you or say to you. This guy was really tall, and I was just like, listen, man, like, get out of my face. I don't know who the fuck you are. Just back the fuck off. So throughout the day, he continued to stalk me through the crowd, and on several different occasions, he popped back up. Oh, so here's the guy here.
Who are with us, and they've got colored.
Do you want to let people be out?
So here, I'll show you what
My
happened.
name's Alex Hillman.
Make a response.
So here it is cracking off. So here's the guy here. Now the other video goes on for 11 minutes, okay?
To create
I'm standing here
a human
filming the
sensitive-
protest.
You can
There's right. Okay, here it is. I didn't know. This person only interacted with me once before this point, which was when I told the security not to touch me, and they got in my face. He just got called me a white nationalist. I laughed at him. But you see this guy with the hat and the sunglasses? This is the person that stalked me through the crowd. I didn't know who this person was. I hadn't had more than a word with them throughout the whole day. But what I found out is, well, everyone's looking forward, right? And I sat here and edited cut these videos down with my buddy Andy, and It was like, that's the crazy lady there. This is the lady who was like trying to block people. She kept trying to tell people where they couldn't stand and shit. And like 99% of people
Security.
pretend security. And even like all these like young middle-aged women, they're like, she's like, who are you filming with? And they're like, it doesn't fucking matter. She's like, excuse me? She's like, who the fuck are you? And like all these like normal people are just like, get the fuck out of my way, I'm gonna stand here. And so like I watched one by one these people just be like, are you retarded? So if you watch, this guy was staring at me. Everyone's looking for it. 100% of people are looking for it. And every time this newscaster moves, this transgender dude is staring at me. Disapprovingly staring at me. Right?
These types of protests here.
It's hard to see because his hat's down. So there it is there. See in there?
Yeah.
So for about 11 minutes, every time, and I didn't realize he was staring me down, but he was constantly staring me down and like these really scary looks. And then he came over to me, which was fucking bizarre.
You know, today I'm sorry for all those judgments. You know,
So where's the next
I didn't
video?
know, you know how.
This is the woman saying, fuck what you
And
did.
they've got colored ribbons either on their.
Okay, so now they're in front of me. No, see, I should actually show you what's happening. And like I have friends who are transgender. It didn't, but this shit was like mental illness. So here.
Minute citizen of the city of Vancouver.
The second time now.
There it is.
This is people who have things
Were
to
they
say.
imprisoned?
So here's the joke.
See, in university.
This native girl was basically occupying the mic, and these transgender people were trying to go up and talk, right? And the girl wasn't letting the mic go. People kept asking to use the microphone, and so I say to them, I say, go, you know, guys, don't worry if she's trying to stop you. Just go up, push your way to the front, and you know, go say what you have to say. This message is today is about everybody's protest, not just this one woman who lost her kids, was raped by the police, and hates all police, right? Like this, I couldn't take this one woman's narrative seriously. So I was like, okay, next, next people go up. So I'm like, I like encourage them, and everyone around me is like, yeah, man.
Push your way to the front. Go for it, guys.
Knowledges and ideologies. And you know what? Weapon we have is knowledges of theirs.
And so,
You know, it's because.
I'm just like, yeah, just go for it, right?
How desperate.
Oh, here it is. Here
People that do harm
he comes.
the darkness because it's an easy place for our people to go to. You know.
So now he's walked up to me. Let me close this. He's now walked up to me.
To not hate the people that do
The
harm.
second time now? He's intentionally being provocative?
Because that's not how I want to live. And
Right in my face. That's the GoPro, right? Their nose is right against my helmet.
Guys, I have someone being aggressive towards me for the second time now today. Found me out of the crowd, getting in my face. Hey, could you ask them to not get in my face?
How desperate
My question
society
is,
is.
I feel uncomfortable and unsafe right now.
You being desperate.
Like I really did, because I couldn't do anything to this person. I don't know.
Police!
Why.
Police!
So this is when he's grinding against me. I'm shouting for police, right? Because no one seems to give a fuck.
Like grinding as in like.
Turned around and like grinded like a girl in the club, right? He turned around. When he finally faced forward and stopped staring at me, he kept backing up into me and was grinding on me.
Stay away from me. I don't want to hear you. Police!
I didn't know what else to do other than shout for police. I was honestly scared, man. I was like a second away from knocking the fuck out of this guy and restraining him for sexual harassment. But like there was no way I was gonna win surrounded by all these, like look at this fucking transgender person I just encouraged to go and speak. Look at the look that they're giving me. This fucking guy with the neck thing. Like what the fuck?
I'm gonna have him come over and I'm gonna have you
And there's not a
take over, okay?
The live stream's better because the live stream on YouTube. This is the GoPro footage. The live stream shows it.
Please stay away from me. This is the second time you come up to me in a crowd.
Look at white men. How they
Is there some kind of illness going on here? Do you have a problem?
Their rights first before they.
It's the second time you come up to me. I'm standing here filming. This guy's come up and got in my face the second time now. This is mental illness on display, folks. Live on the internet.
They're shushing me. I'm like asking them to help me. These are the security people. I'm like, keep this fucking person away from me. I was standing still, and they've come up to me again. Keep this person away from me. And they're like, shh. I'm like, no, man, they're fucking rubbing their dick against me.
Everybody has a right to be here. No, but everybody stop. I don't know why this thing is following me around.
Thank you so much, Winona. Thank you, Christy. And thank you,
It's the second time you've gotten my
for
face.
those powerful words. We think it's
I feel like I'm minor.
really important that we start with these recognitions because, after all, this is Indigenous land that we're on.
So it escalates over the next 5 minutes. He keeps backing up into me. I move essentially, I basically move 7 people further back. I push my way back between people. I almost trip over a dog. I'm basically stepping on another girl, and I apologize. But he's just backing up into me. And once I was physically stuck, blocked by people, I couldn't back up anymore. He started grinding on me, like he was doing this fucking butt thing against me, right up against my midsection, right? And this guy was taller than me. He was larger than me. He clearly had some problems. He was being aggressive without reason. I was calling for.
What was he trying to do, you think?
Was just trying to. He was trying to trigger me. The one time when I finally pushed him off of me, he started shouting for police to have me arrested. He started asking people for witnesses that I just fucking assaulted him. And I'm like, dude, I've got this all on 2 different cameras. You try to even build a case about this, I'm gonna take you to fucking court. Are you serious? Like, okay, let's find some police right now. You and me, let's talk to some police about this. Because you were just sexually harassing me, right? But I was just like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And at that point, a couple people grabbed me and pulled me back and like physically blocked him from me. They like three men were no longer letting him get close to me. And I was just like, oh my God, thank God. You know. Like, and so then as I'm coming out of the crowd, as I'm pulling out, this fucking guy, the crazy guy from her, this guy. So I'm thinking these people now? And he's still trying to get back to me. These people here are physically blocked him away from me. I've already interviewed the band, but I'm just like, I need to get the fuck out of here because nothing good's gonna come out of this, right? Oh, sorry, it's the wrong screen. So I say I need to get the fuck out of here because it's just incredibly, I guess toxic would be the word. The situation wasn't getting any better.
Always more cowbell. Oh, wow.
And then right away, the second I get out of the crowd, the same guy's got his camera pointed right at me. You see him?
Oh yeah.
I was ready to do an interview with him. I was shook up by what just happened. I wanted to have a conversation about it.
What's happened there, guys? Holy shit. Oh, man. So, this is the 3rd time. So, I'm actually here trying to stop the hate, right? I'm here trying to share everyone's opinions. My name's Alex Hillman. I'm here with...
Profiling me, right?
When you come over here, we'll talk. Yeah, of course. And I want to keep this everything. Yeah, of course. And already once today, I've had some pretty... I haven't been spreading any messages of hate. I've just free movement. Some couple people that shot me.
See how close he's getting in my face?
Yeah, we're here with...
Most people were completely normal, but this guy was like in my face. I didn't realize right away. At this point, I didn't realize he had negative intentions yet. I thought he was
Probably
just
cutting up a video of you right now.
Great,
Like, oh,
great.
Follow the white man.
Absolutely. There was a gay guy that took my photo, and I turned around. I was like, "What? He's going, oh, I'm just profiling you." I'm like, "I'm Alex Hillman, good guy biker, featured on the Ellen Show, random acts of kindness, 9 million views. Like, let's talk about it, asshole. What are you trying to say about what you want? You want to profile me? Here's my profile, bro. Let's make it easy. Oh yeah, did you have any opinions? Do you have opinions, buddy? Who's profiling me? Or are you just gonna stand there like a little Weasley cunt? Didn't say that, but he was being a little Weasley cunt. So I'm clueless that this guy has any negative intentions at this point.
Well, I heard some of your questions.
Yes.
And they were inflammatory.
I don't know if it's inflammatory.
No, I'm saying
it's to start discussion.
Listen to me.
Right?
I'm saying, from my point of view, listening to you, they were inflammatory. Right? You weren't listening to the people that we were encountering.
He says I wasn't listening to people. That's an absolute lie. I let 99% of people get their message out.
You're giving a perspective of your own, and I don't think that's the role of the media.
Did you happen to get a flavor of what my perspective was?
Well, to the far right. I would say so. But talk to me now. So what's your view on the rally?
Well, I think hatred, we have laws against it. I think hatred...
He just said I'm a far right.
And do you think we're stopping hate in Canada?
I think that...
Here I am being interviewed by my friend Jeff, multinational individual, here in Vancouver City of Canada, made up of multicultural individuals. This guy's calling me a white nationalist, a far right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed with that. That's far right.
I'm like far right though, like I'm like far. I'm
Far right.
far right. He really emphasized how far right I was, right? Definitely, as a billionaire business owner, how could I not be far right? It's not like I'm a person with student debt, with lots of liberal views and issues on perspectives. Not like I believe socialism is a great system, education, health. No, far right. Far right.
Testing of one minority group is the wrong way to do that.
What minority group are we oppressing?
Today, I think the people who registered their protests and paid for the medical aid to be here today and organize the events, they have a legal right to protest. No. This is not my opinion. They do. They absolutely do. In Canada?
No, they don't in Canada.
They don't. He's like, oh yeah, they don't legally have a right to protest, even though they were just legally given a permit. And the mayor legally said there's nothing we can do to stop these people from protesting, other than protest them. And he's like, oh no, it's completely illegal. How the fuck did they get a city permit if it's completely illegal?
If it was illegal, then the police would have shut it down.
Right. This guy's narrative is complete bullshit. He's just an uneducated pleb. He's just spewing his message to suit his narrative that I'm some kind of white nationalist. All he's trying to do in this conversation is prove that I'm some kind of far right person. What he's saying makes no sense.
Right. And so if they're not able to be heard, how are their opinions
Listen to what I'm saying.
Right.
Right. There are justifiable limits.
So then he starts touching me, and that's when things get hostile. And at this point is when everything falls apart. This is when 3 security guards start grabbing me.
But I think what you're doing is you're trying to say that certain people's opinions are more valuable than others. I think when people make assholes of themselves and the world sees that, the world deals with it light. So if you want to let people be assholes in the face,
They're like, don't give this guy time, man. He just wants your time. Don't give him time, man. And so then I step back from this guy. This guy grabs me, and he's like trying to move me, and I'm like, hey man, don't touch me. And he like moves me again. I'm like, hey man, don't fucking touch me. I will continue this conversation, but do not touch me. And so he's like, come with me. And I said, listen man, I will follow you. You walk in a direction, I'm happy to come. Right? So then he walks over to the corner here, and he basically says to me that I'm a white nationalist, and I laugh at him. Right? And then this guy starts spouting up over the corner.
I'm against it.
So this is, I've disengaged now. I've told this guy with the camera, I said, listen, I'm disengaging. Right? Far right. Yeah, Octane. Far right. That's what the guys are saying in chat. Far right. So far right. So this drunk native guy started calling me a clown over my shoulder, okay? While I'm speaking logic to this guy. I'm like, I don't think oppressing anyone. So this guy, I said, listen, you clearly have a narrative. Your narrative is that I'm a white nationalist. We're not going to get anything else out of this discussion, so I'm going to disengage. And that's how I disengaged with the guy with the camera. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to disengage. And he's like, okay, you can walk away. I'm like, man, you're not going to tell me where I can and can't be, but this is the end of our conversation. And that one security guy, this is the woman who's my guardian angel, by the way. I don't know if she liked me or not, like she agreed with my views, but she made sure every time people got nasty, including security, she was standing there behind them. The second this drunk guy started touching me, she fucking said, don't touch him. Right? Like every time. She was there on top of the shit. I don't know if she was a legit cop, but she was. There was security there who did a great job. So now this is the one drunk native at a First Nations right protest, because you can't make this shit up. Right? All these these First Nations people are here fighting for their rights, and trying to do away with stigmas. And here this guy is, drunk, making an asshole of himself, trying to represent his community. So, you can't make this shit up, man. You cannot. You can't make up the one drunk native in a First Nations protest. You can't make that up. It's a real thing. It happened. Here it is. Like
Event today. But I don't know why people feel so opinionated to try and oppress other people's opinions. I've been called a white nationalist now. You guys know me. I'm the Canadian good guy biker. I was on the Ellen Show. I was pulled up. I'm famous for pulling over and helping the blind guy. I caught that woman stealing in Vancouver. I made her go back to all the houses. You guys know this. You guys know who I am. And these guys here are accusing me of being homophobic, of being racist, of being nationalistic. Can you believe the problems with some of these mentalities today? I can't believe it. It's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. So, do you have a perspective with that, or just an insult?
Wait till you hear me call out the alcoholism. Right to his face. Like a gentleman. Like a scholar. I asked him about his alcohol problem. Oh, that's Silent Bob. So that right there is Silent Bob. Silent Bob is probably the only other video I'll show you from the whole day that's interesting. Silent Bob got in my face and boxed me out and didn't say a word to me. And so eventually I went into like a rant about his superiority issues. It's fucking hilarious. Or Silent Warrior. So this drunk guy just keeps calling me a clown. I said, do you have an opinion to go with that statement? He just kept repeating himself.
You're looking for publicity.
And look, when he says that you're looking for publicity, I do this Dr. Evil thing on my camera. I put my finger up to my lip like, would I do that?
I'm the Canadian guy biker. I'm here to stop that. I've been interviewing people all day.
Right, I've had, literally, by now, I've had 3 hours of positive interviews. Oh, there's the other guy. The guy with the gray beard. You'll see. It all breaks off here. This is when it starts getting crazy.
Of just acts of kindness. Right? And how about you, man? When you're not oppressing people's opinions, what do you do? Do you work with any charity groups?
This guy's getting in my face, right?
And yours? Do you know my opinion demands 350,000 minutes a month on average of viewership. How about your opinion?
My opinion is you're a clown.
You're on it right now. You can talk to all 350,000 minutes.
He's a clown. He's a clown.
I don't know this guy. I'm just standing here making a video.
This all was triggered by that guy with the beard
He's a clown.
trying to call me a white nationalist, right?
Thank you for your opinion.
Ask everybody else.
Thank you for your opinion. That's what I say to everyone, right?
I don't want you to be
I say, do you mind if I ask you a question? I don't want you to be offended.
offended.
You ready?
Because it sounds like you're slurring your words. I've recently been in a motorcycle accident.
No.
So I'm being like, so is it a head injury? Like I'm making that clear. Like, is it a disability? Because before I call you an alcoholic on Livestream and critique how drunk you are and how much of an asshole you're making yourself, I want to make sure that it's not a mental disability or something.
I've recently been in a motorcycle accident.
Here's the card.
And then she's there telling him not to touch me. She's like, don't touch him.
Have you been drinking?
Who cares?
It just seems to me like
Oh, who cares? Oh, you're freaking glowing in the dark. Shall we call Ghostbusters?
sure. Do you think maybe the alcoholism is leading to the forwardness, or the alcohol is leading to the forwardness? I think he's standing here.
Hey, where did you serve?
What about that alcoholism? What do you think about that, buddy? Let's talk about
I
that.
don't serve in the military.
I don't believe in fighting for political opinions. No, I'm happy to fight for causes.
And people are going
Sure, but that's
nuts in the comments on LiveLeak and YouTube about that comment. He's calling you a coward for not being in the military? Who the fuck does this guy think he is? It's like that comment was a real winning comment. And so basically I just talked about like some of the humanitarian aid we've done around the world, the stuff we did in Turkey with the solar panels and helping those people out in the Amazon jungle. They had all the solar panels that they didn't know how to set up. Just really simple stuff, right? The solar heating in Turkey. We helped those people in the village fix the glass panels on top of their showers, the water heaters. They didn't realize that you have to seal it with caulking, so they would just, if a glass panel would break, they would just put another piece of glass on top of it. Because they didn't understand the engineering of it, right? So you can pull over in a village anywhere and you can do humanitarian aid, right? anywhere. You can take people who are undereducated and you can help them with technical skills that they don't have knowledge about. That's very simple to do. Go out and help people. It's as simple as digging a well for a village in Africa, right? You don't have to go shoot people. So I disagree with that opinion. But it escalated here. He basically kept calling me a clown. He didn't really say anything more than "you're a clown" for the rest of it. And then this is kind of where it
Everybody has a voice.
I said everyone gets an opinion.
Everybody has a voice.
Everybody gets a voice. He says everybody but me gets a voice.
I don't want to continue this conversation.
So this guy stalked me around the crowd earlier in the day, and I got his face a couple times because he looked like a goofball. Eh? He's got gloves on and wrist protectors, and
I'm allowed to listen.
he told me earlier that I was not wanted. And that's when I was asking him, so what do? You do humanitarian aid? You do charity work when you're not oppressing people? What do you do? Right? So why am I not wanted? What, you think I'm white nationalist? The fuck you? If you're here against today, bro, I'm here fighting the fucking Nazi movement. Like, who the fuck?
I'll give you permission to do it.
I'm not giving you permission to touch me. It's cool. Everything's cool, right?
So now Bob's following me across the crowd, and this Bob guy won't let me leave.
So I'm against the event today.
So he follows me, and this is the last one I'll show, I think. But sorry, do you have any questions about kind of what's going on so far? This is it. It's a lot more obvious in the live stream what's going on, because the fisheye lens. Crazy people, right?
And you haven't shown any of the reasonable people, but just
right.
To clarify, there were a lot more good people than these crazies.
Oh, just for context, just for context, okay? Just for clairvoyance, let's actually look at the majority of the interactions, okay? All day.
We have some CTV going on.
You happen to have any
Come on, try and be
more people
keep
about
up
the
the good
crazy
work.
people?
Yeah, so here, this is how 99% of the, this is literally how 99% of the interactions went. I asked people about their signs and what their message was about, and then I said encouraging things to everybody. And I didn't say, discouraging things to the native guy. I said everyone's opinion matters. You know, I wasn't ever being...
the memes all over it. That's gotta help, right? Oh, I love it, brother. Keep up the good work. The live stream loves it.
Right? And I think I interviewed probably 200 people about their signs.
Yeah, the nationalists so far.
Talking about how the first aids are keeping everybody safe. Interviews with the band. Right?
See, what, you guys see your signs to the live stream? Yeah, what we got? We are. Support racist anymore. Oh, I love it, guys. So why did you guys decide to come out today, if I can ask? It seems like it, doesn't it? That's right, that's right. And a lot of people in the comments are saying similar things, so we appreciate it, guys.
And so, 99% of the day is me walking around and interviewing kind people. Really funny stories, like this guy talks about the time that Nazis fucking tried to jump him. He was filming Sasquatch show. 99% of interactions of the 7 hours, 6.5 hours of it are positivity. And the second I ejected myself from those situations, I got back into positivity. So after these security guys are giving me a hard time, I'm in the next 30 seconds, I'm interviewing another guy. I'm interviewing a guy who's married to a Chinese woman, and then I'm interviewing the band. And all these people who are treating me like assholes feel like idiots because they're standing there watching me not be an idiot. So then eventually this guy got in my face and he wouldn't let me move.
And I work for CTV.
Native guy going on about this. So see Bob's following me around. And then when I tried to... Oh, here it is. Okay. I might have gone a little far with my words, but...
I don't want to continue this conversation.
Everybody over here.
I'm allowed to listen.
I'll give you permission to do it.
I'm not giving you permission to touch me. It's cool. Everything's cool, right?
So this guy, he follows me all the way here. And again, this is a grown man with no legal... He's not a peace officer. He's not a police officer. He has no legal jurisdiction to be basically impeding anybody. right? You could make a criminal suit out of this man's impeding my free right to movement, to free movement. He's impeding my right to movement, right?
Yeah.
And he is. He's physically, and he gets me in a corner. He starts telling me I have to walk through a wall of people to leave, and through a garden. The sidewalk is up ahead on the right. You see where that woman with the dress is? She's standing on the sidewalk with the white bag. She is standing on the sidewalk to leave. This is where I'm trying to walk. I'm trying to walk directly across here, out there. I don't want to walk in the garden. I don't want to walk on the plants at all.
Do you think I'm going to? Is that why you're following me around the garage? Do you think I'm going to be a problem? I got weapons. My weapon is the camera, my opinions. And all I'm here to do is hear them out. I don't know when anyone should have that stop. Do you have any opinions?
This guy is like nose to nose with me, right? He's chest to chest, waist to waist, knee to knee, nose to nose with me.
Didn't seem so. Okay.
I can't stress that enough. This guy's nose to nose with me.
I'm going to continue to move. Please stop following me. If you do, I will consider it a hostile act. Okay? Because I haven't done anything to warrant this kind of behavior. Do you understand?
I'm not being rude. I'm just telling him I don't want him to follow me because he's making me feel unsafe. I'm going to consider it hostile.
Do you understand? I've done my due diligence as far as the criminal code is excluded, so I'm going to walk away now. I hope that you take your time and try to stop following. You're going to follow me. That's what you're going to do.
So I took 2 steps and he stepped back in front of me.
Let's get this around. I don't know what's going on, guys.
See, they're in front of the garden. See the tree? The tree is the grass. I'm trying to walk down the path.
And I got Nazis chasing me around the board. Excuse me, I'm trying to leave.
Again, he's blocking.
I'm trying to leave. You're physically blocking me, man. What's your fucking problem? I'm trying to leave. I'm trying to.
Look at, he's pushing. He's pointing at walls of people. He's like, go that way.
I dare you to touch me. I dare you to touch me. Okay? I dare you. This is your big moment. You want to be a tough guy for the wrong reason? I'm just here trying to get people's opinions. I've done nothing wrong, and you're being a tough guy. Is this your big moment? You're going to be all viral on YouTube? The live stream's going to hit it up. Everyone's going to get to see you and how you behave? This guy won't let me move. I'm getting boxed up like this. They call me white nationalist. I'm the Canadian big guy biker. We were on the fucking Ellen show for Random Acts of Kindness. What's your problem, man? What's your problem? Is it mental health?
Here it is. So he's still blocking me, right? At any point he could have stopped being irrational, right? I asked him nicely. I've tried to walk away 3 different times. I've explained to him my legal grounds to be there and why I felt unsafe with him acting the way he was. I've then said that I'm trying to leave the situation. He hasn't let me, right? I literally, there was nowhere, if there was somewhere I was trying to get away from these psychopaths. Like, I felt unsafe because these people were claiming to be authority. So if they had assaulted me and I assaulted them back, I would have got arrested every time, right? Without the video evidence, there would have been nothing to defend myself. I just wanted nothing more to get away from these psychopaths. And you see that every time these psycho people interact with me, I like hear them out for 2 minutes to let them make an ass of themselves, and then I just leave. I'm like, okay, bye. I don't want to be crazy. I don't want to be around crazy. I don't want to live with crazy. I don't want to really deal with crazy. But I had enough of this guy. So now I'm going to rip this guy's asshole open. And this is me going full Keck Nation.
Okay.
And so she comes over and asks me to calm down. She doesn't understand that these 2 guys, like, here he is, this guy with his fucking gloves. This guy's, like, dressed up like a fucking neo-Nazi rioter, Antifa, and he's, like, following me around the crowd, and he wants me not to be afraid of him?
Canadian big guy biker, we were on the fucking Ellen show for Random Acts of Kindness. What's your problem, man?
Again, he's like, chest is against my chest,
Is it
right?
mental health? Do you come out here uncertified and act like a tough ass because of insecurity issues? Do you have superiority issues, perhaps? Were you unable to get in the police foundations, didn't pass the psych test, perhaps? Middle management for most of your life? I'm just wondering.
Nothing got him, but middle management got him. Oh, nothing got him yet, right? He never aspired to be a cop, but the second I hit him with that middle management comment, he starts shaking. He started shaking when I said, what, just fucking warrior, right? So he's now shaking. He's now literally vibrating, and I want to de-escalate the situation.
Angry because you haven't said anything, right? Because you're being a tough guy. And I want to know where that mentality comes from.
He's shaking. So I asked him if he wanted a
You
hug.
could use a hug right now.
He said you shouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that either.
Right? Because you look like someone who'd be uncomfortable with that. I'm not trying to make anyone uncomfortable. It seems like you are. Are you? Do you feel like you're trying to make me uncomfortable? Do you feel like you're trying to make me uncomfortable? Is that weed smoke on your breath? Do you think you're trying to make me uncomfortable? I don't know, man. It seems to me like you're trying very hard to make me uncomfortable.
There's a hole right there.
There's a hole right there. That's it? Just holes? You're talking about holes now? You have nothing more to say than holes? You're going to follow me around, try and prevent me from being here, and all you want to talk about is holes? Seems incredibly ill-informed. This is your opportunity to speak to thousands of people, man. If you have an opinion, let it be heard. So we'll call you the silent warrior, right? And his punk rock buddy.
Just ripping them up right to their face, right?
Those standard issues with the,
Nice vest, guys. Those are
freedom movement.
standard issues with the freedom right movement.
You guys are acting like the white nationalists right now, the Nazis trying to oppress people. I'm here to stop that. And you guys are here pushing people around, being bullies. Right? I'm here just trying to have fun, man. I don't know where you're getting in my face. I don't know, man. Well, we're gonna keep walking. We'll see if Mr. Silent Warrior wants to follow us anymore.
And so I walked away from him, and then I went into like several really good conversations. Another camera guy came over to de-escalate the situation, and he's like, "The Nazis? Where are the Nazis? I have no work. The Nazis are gone. I can't find the Nazis. Do you see Nazis?" And he's right, and then we have like a 10-minute conversation.
The sense that I'm kind of getting from who are trying to push you out,
Yeah.
afraid that you're going to crack their narrative, protect their narrative. Anybody who is a threat to that is physically removed.
Right. And like I asked her I asked all of those people some very thought-provoking questions, and they had nothing to say.
Yeah, they just weren't ready for it.
Right. It's conversations that are about the issues which they're protesting. And it's, I hate Nazis, but I don't think Nazis really exist. So, on those issues, Jeff, I want to, again, strain that this was, what I just showcased was what I found the most inflammatory from the day. And there's many more moments with other transgender people. Some of the moments I actually took down. One woman chased me through a crowd and screamed at me because she was chasing what she thought was a Nazi through the crowd who wasn't. The guy was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, lady?" She's screaming at him as he's trying to walk away from her. And as I'm walking through the crowd, I panned to her screaming at him and then kept walking. She came to me. But afterwards, a guy came over and said, she's part of the scene. It's like she's a regular, she's in this she's got some problems. And I say to this guy, so your scene, this political scene that you're a part of, these housing rights people, like you're telling me that like a lot of people in the community are mentally ill? And he kind of looked at me and turned his head, and I was like, well, think about your community, man. Like, you just came up and told me that this lady who's being mentally ill in a crowd full of people is mentally ill, and she's part of like your group. Well, fucking ex-nay that bitch. Like, nobody cares. Nobody wants mentally ill people making political opinion, and that's what's going on. It's the farthest extreme people at that, the minority, we're trying to have the majority of the narrative.
Yeah. I also get the sense that a lot of these people are like activists. They're definitely commit a lot of their lives towards activism.
They live and die by their belief. But the priest stabbed me. Right? He was so riled up. And I could see that he was so riled up, I just turned around and got in his face. And I had no idea he was there. And he's shaking his head like this behind me, fucking head on my shoulder, basically. I'm like, what the fuck? Whoa! Holy shit! There's a disapproving young man with a fucking mask standing right beside me. Oh, I didn't see that one coming. Okay, young disapproving man. You clearly have an opinion since you're so disapproving. What? I won't fucking talk to you. Well, you're just like, you're standing here, showing your opinion, just want to talk about it. There was a couple feminists yelled at me, and I was like, do you have anything to say with that? Like, do you have a point with the stand aside for the ban? Do you have something to say? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Well, I think the reason we have these events is so right. I think the reason we're doing this is so we can elaborate people's opinions. You know, no, right. Your sign is the justification of the narrative. You're totally right. I was surprised how many people had different political groups, different charity groups there where there were signs. And I asked one group of 6 guys if any of them wanted to talk about why they were there. And I was like, these are your advocates? A bunch of babbling assholes that can't even narrate what it is they're standing here with a sign for about their charity? Like, how about the mission statement? Like, Jesus Christ, where do you find these people? Right? And so I'm walking away going, oh, okay, I guess maybe they'll do better if they can find someone better for media. Jesus Christ. Like, it's fucking numbnuts everywhere. Oh, we're here for this perspective. What's your perspective? I have a sign. What's the sign mean?
Mandatory.
I don't know, my dad is part of this association, so like I'm here with the sign. Oh my god. It's just like you're making your association look retarded. And that woman, the head of the protest, she made herself look retarded. Didn't she? Didn't she look retarded? With his Hispanic Jew and like all this stuff, like she actually believes that. She really believes that she walks into a room and people subjugate her instantaneously.
Yeah. Because
of offshoots of religions and offshoots of society that I don't even think have really been active in North America ever.
Not that we know of.
Not that anyone she encounters most days know of. Right? Oppression, man. Yeah, so a lot of people were really good. But, you know, there was a couple people, like a lot of groups of 3 middle-aged women, for example, all with really good signs, peace over love, you know, everyone's the same. And I would ask, you know, are you guys going to participate in the blockade? And 2 of the women would be like, no, we're just here to let our opinion. And one of them would cut her off and say, oh, no, we're here to do whatever we need to. If we need to block, we'll block. And, like, her 2 friends, like, look at her like, holy shit, Cindy, like, that was loaded. Like, I didn't even finish saying that I'm just here to protest. And before you were like, no, yeah, we're definitely in. If something goes down, it's like these are the people that if you give them rifles and say, okay, these are the oppressors, they're ready to go. You know? And a lot of crowds of 3, one of them were ready to be what I would consider extreme. Even the peaceful protesters.
Extremists always are able to grab the mic, speaker or whatever.
Yeah.
That we hear, because they're the ones that are so eager to grab the mic.
Yeah, so they're aggressively.
People in the middle are like.
Right. She's trying to move people, and they're all just like, lady, I'm a great. One of the guys is like, we're grown adults. We'll stand where we want. And she just like, it didn't even register that she was being crazy. It was deflected by her armor. She was just, oh, okay, those people are weird. Next. No, we're adults. We'll stand where we want. And so there's so much gold that comes out of this live stream, but it's all there on Motorcycles Vancouver for everybody to critique in their own. As long as you're going to credit me, feel free to cut out some clips. Let me know ahead of time if you're going to be doing that. We've got to keep this narrative out. I went there to interview people about how great it is to be Canadian. And I left out of there feeling endangered at a public Canadian event for the first time in my life. First time. I felt legitimately in danger. You heard me shouting for police, Jeff.
Yeah.
I wanted the police to come save me at that point. I desperately, more than anything else at that moment, I just wanted the police to show up and de-escalate the situation. And they didn't. And it's not a bad hit on the VPD. It was a crowd of thousands of people. right?
Their best.
Right, and at a certain point they pulled out because it was going to be dangerous. Police get stabbed at events like this, right? There was people there shouting, "Fuck the VPD, fuck the RCMP." So, but the problem is, I could have just as easily got stabbed. That transgender dude that stalked me through the crowd, he could have pulled out his nail file and just decided that he wanted to get me. I was really worried. A couple times I got out because I was worried. I did a horrible interview with CTV or something. They didn't use any of it. I was just like, I feel like a minority. What just happened? The transgender dude just grinded against me, and I tried to get the police to help. Like, I don't think it was a very good interview. I can't seem to find any of their footage used. But all the narratives, all the news narratives, are like, thousands come out to protest the Nazis and the white nationalists, and it's like Vancouver, really good job at fighting the hate. And all I saw was just a shit ton of hate. I won't go again. I'll never do that again.
Okay.
No, it was not because I don't want to.
You kind of are pessimistic, you would say?
I was incredibly pessimistic. And you know what? Most of the day was great. But I can't stress enough how in danger I felt. As like someone who studied martial arts and someone who can definitely handle themselves in a lot of different situations and has in the past. I've had 6'3" guys chasing me down the side of a highway with road rage, and they couldn't touch me if they tried. So I've de-escalated some pretty serious situations. But there was the problem is that if he was the transgender person specifically was trying to bait out some kind of hostile interaction, which they were then going to turn into an assault charge. And when the transgender person went up, they actually said, not that person, but that other person that was taking the photo of me, said something like, there's already been 3 instances of assault already. We plan to be pressing charges against one of those individuals, which is why they took my photo, right? And so they went up, and their narrative was like, I assaulted him, and they were going to press assault and hate charges against me. Or at least that's what I got out of what they were saying, because it happened a minute after the one person who was speaking took my photo and the other person assaulted me. But you can watch the live stream in their entirety. The guy stalked me around the crowd. I was doing nothing but standing there and filming. And for 11 minutes he stared me down and then got in my face. And what does that mean about Canada when the kid who assaults the girl during prayer time isn't charged? I don't know if the French language laws were as big of a deal out here as they were in Ontario, but we were right beside Montreal and Quebec. And the French-English laws were incredibly enforced. For example, the English could be bigger than the French, and a lot of signs. So people were constantly ticketed. It was hugely enforced. The English laws, the English signs, French signs. But there's huge parts of Vancouver you can go to, and there's literally not a piece of English around.
There's no English.
There's no English. There's the Crystal Mall, even large stores in places like the Aberdeen Center and stuff. Just not a piece of English. Now, generally speaking, I haven't had like a lot of like negative experiences. If I walk into those places, most people are willing to like help me order food or like tell me what this particular route is good for, right? Like, people aren't shutting guaylo at me as I walk away. Like, I'm not experiencing a huge. Maybe I'm not able to.
Until after you walk.
Right. I can't buy any shark fin. I could buy any shark fin if I wanted, but that's a whole nother conversation we don't want to open up. But these language laws are so important to Canada as an identity, and they have been forever. And it's just like all of that is going away now. And I don't want a Canada where English isn't the national language, just because, like, I would be okay if other languages in America, it's very likely that Spanish will become the national language in the next 50 years. Just because of the way.
I have family members that actually been in Canada for 30 plus years, and they barely speak English.
See, that to me that blows me away. To me that's a lack of integration. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
It's like these Americans or these Canadians that go live in Puerto Rico and stuff because of the tax laws, and they don't learn to speak Spanish. They just assume that everybody should learn to speak English. Right? And that's when though you're in a predominantly historically Spanish-speaking place. So don't be a dick. Like, it's not hard to learn the pleasantries. To say thank you, ask what time of day it is, where's the bathroom, 2 cervezas, 2 cervezas, muchas gracias. Like, this shit isn't hard. It's just ignorance. Would you say it's a certain amount of ignorance with some of your family?
Yeah, well, there's all this talk about, like, North America being a melting pot, where everybody becomes Canadian or American, but that doesn't necessarily play out that way. A lot of people come here and then pockets with their ethnic communities.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the great TED Talks I saw recently was about little Indias around the world, and he was showing you pictures of these different places, and like you've been to Japan. So certain parts of Asia are incredibly clean. Japan, for example, cleanliness is it's a cultural thing there. It's very much the cities, the monuments, a lot. So, and he was showing these pictures all over the world. And he said, "Where do you think this is?" And everyone thought they were in India, right? But they were the little Indias all over the world. The dirtiest place in Tokyo, the only place in Tokyo where you can actively find like litter on the street is in Little India.
Yeah.
And one of the dirt, and they were like these, and it's not, and it's an Indian man doing this talk, and he was saying that no matter where you go in the world, the dirtiest part of the city is always the little Indian village, and it's a cultural thing. Like they grew up throwing garbage in the lot beside them, right? There's, but you don't have to be an asshole when you get places where it's different. When I was in Turkey, I wasn't drinking on the buses. Like, we used to drink vodka and stuff when we take bus trips. Get wasted on the back of the bus. I didn't do that there, because that's taboo there. Right? So, you don't throw your garbage. The other day, I almost beat up a kid. I said, "Hey, you fucking piece of shit, go pick that shit up." He was walking home, and he threw his pop and his garbage, his sub-wrapper. And I was walking with my wife, and I stopped him in front of... I said, "You're with a young lady, man. How do you think she thinks of you, you stupid piece of shit? Go pick up your garbage." You know, like, don't be an asshole. I should come over there and kick your ass for that shit. Because that's just... Like, maybe 3 times in the last 10 years, I've seen it, and I've walked up to people and been like, "Pick up your shit." Because I always do. If I see it, I'll always walk up to them and be a social justice warrior about it. So I guess that's a question I want to ask you. Because as opinionated as I really feel like I'm on the right side of this argument. But I love those videos of the to stop a douchebag, the Russia videos, where they stop all the people from driving on the sidewalks. Nothing gives me more delight than to ask someone parking in a handicap spot why they're parking there when they shouldn't be. Nothing gives me more delight than to watch people squirm when they're not meeting societal norms, essentially. Right?
Okay.
So what does that mean about me? Am I just too selective about my social justice? Am I also a social justice warrior in that I want to go out and make videos about cabs double parking and people parking in handicapped places that shouldn't and blocking crosswalks? Because I'm almost going like full Stalin. You know, report your neighbors at this point.
Everybody has their pet issue. So things that bother you bother me. Things that bother me won't necessarily bother you.
But does that make my bothers more just than theirs? The fact that they believe these things, does that make my issues more just than the fact that she wants everyone to have a message but wants to impress everyone's message? Like
we as, maybe even as human beings, we need to have some grounding principles.
Right and wrong.
A lot of people now are freedom of speech is a grounding principle.
Right.
I think that's where a lot of the conflicts come from. Like, what are the grounding principles?
That's interesting.
Express opinions. What is a grounding principle?
Right. Now, because something becomes illegal, can it still be morally right?
Yeah.
I would
I don't
agree.
think it's necessarily legal or it's a. What can we universally say is right? A right that we should have.
Right. Helping refugees is something that is a universal thing that we should do as a humanity. Helping people in need.
The universal right that we should all have.
Right. Right. And just because we're in a place where we don't need refugee status, right. But that doesn't mean that we should also have a right to live safely and know that we're not introducing criminal people into our society. We have a right to live in positive communities. We create laws around those things. And all those laws enforce those rights to safety and freedom.
Like we have a legal process where bills are written, how laws are decided by policy.
Right. And I think
If people disagree with that process can also be.
it's a
We have this
dynamic.
whole legal system.
Right. We do not have a rigid system. It is a dynamic system, and it's changed many times. Yeah. So what is your perspective, knowing that 99% of what my interactions were incredibly positive?
Well, it's a lot better than I expected it would turn out. I thought that Antifa was going to gather like 100 or 200 troopers, and a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah, there were several people dressed up in attire who were looking to start some problems.